evening live stream. Get your questions ready. Send them over in the chat. I'll answer them super quickly. Ruthlessly scientific. 1,400 videos. Nootropics, TRT, biohacking, energy, health. 2 globally shipped nootropic stacks. This is Cortex Labs. I'm your host, Ryan Michael Ballo. What's up, everybody? Hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a good night. Hope you had a good Tuesday. I almost thought it was Thursday. Actually, this whole last hour, I'm like, it's Thursday. Yeah, it's Thursday. I almost like typed out Thursday when I was doing some of the editing for that intro stuff. But it's Tuesday, bro. I don't know. Yeah, here in Pittsburgh, it snowed all day. Yet again. I'm so happy for this weather, guys. It makes me so happy to know that I can't drive my goddamn car places in the morning when it's snowing, right? Makes me really happy. Hope you guys are happy too with the snow. All your 4x4s and all your all-wheel drive cars. Yeah, it must be nice. I have a 7 Series BMW, and though it's nice, it does not perform very well in the snow, boys. It performs very terribly in the snow, actually. So we're going to kick this thing off with some questions once we get folks here. Let me make sure my chat is working. Good old Testorino in the chat. Oh, boom. There she goes. Testorino. Oh, it's a Testorino, boys. It's a Testorino because this is a live stream. This is Pick Ryan's Brain.
Evening edition.
Yeah, baby. Questions. If you got them, ask them. We're going to filter some people in the room. And in the meantime, there's just a couple things that you might have to know or understand.
Just a little reminder to you guys, when you hit the like button, actually makes a real big difference on the channel, okay? So if you would, just take a little bit of time out of your fucking day and hit the goddamn like button.
Makes a big difference, boys. The like buttons, the likes, the clicks, they make a huge difference to the algorithm, for the channel, for the growth. All right, boys, before we get into it, let's just talk about a movie that I watched recently. I watched Napoleon. This was a couple nights back, and the previews made it look so good. They made Napoleon look cool. They made him look formidable and strong. And in the movie, however, once we actually got into the movie, he was kind of weak. He was just like a weak dude and seemingly narcissistic and just had some problems. It was like they portrayed him in the preview to be this strong, like fucking, what's the word for it? Like archetype of a masterful war leader. But in reality, in the movie, they actually depicted him, Napoleon, as being like this weak dude. So I don't know if he was really like that, but that's how the movie turned out. I would still suggest watching it if you can, get it for a reasonable price. Right now, it's on YouTube for like $20. The movie Napoleon. I would still suggest watching it because it is pretty cool and it's very long. But I thought it would be like 150% good. It was maybe like 89 or something. All right, just so you guys understand, that's what it was like. So if you have questions, like we got some people in the chat here. What's up, everybody? Hope you're doing great. Ask them, because you know the deal. You know the routine.
You got questions? You got questions? You got them questions? Ask away. I'd love to answer them. Right here, live on air.
Corey J. Block. I love those middle initial names. I love them. For a while, I was like going to call myself R. Michael Ballo. That's a first initial name, but same concept. Question from Corey says, "Sup, Ryan? Love your channel. How the channel's looking lately after a viral..." Thank you. Lots of editing going into that. Really appreciate it. He goes, "After a viral illness, I suspect I'm having acetylcholine vagus nerve issues. What would you do to diagnose and find something that helps?" What virus? Because if it's COVID and you're having long COVID, it's not acetylcholine vagus nerve. It's other things. And I can help you with that, but I need you to specify. I need you to specify, my boy. Good question, though. Specify another question and I'll answer it. Okay? Promise. Swisher Swish is saying, "Does it make sense to take modafinil sublingually?" Well, yeah, I can. I've done it before. Back in the day, I've actually taken adrafinil sublingually. Yeah, not modafinil. And it worked. It was very effective. I had, back in the day, a company called Powder City sold nootropics, and they had like this, adrafinil is typically a pink powder. They had a pink powder adrafinil, and I would dose it sublingually, and it would just rock my world, bros. So yeah, I don't know if it makes sense. I mean, again, you're with sublingual dosing on things, you're getting a faster onset and perhaps a little more bioavailability, like nothing major, but enough to notice it to be like, okay, this is pretty significant. Andrew Smith is asking, can you take nicotine gum with Nootropic? You sure can. Yeah, I mean, nicotine gum is the milder of the nicotine administration methods. The gum is milder than like a patch. A patch would be like instant energy for 7 hours, Adderall-like energy. The patch is very, very cool. I mean, it's noticeable and very, very powerful. So, if you took Nootropic, you'd be cholinosensitizing the brain, which just means technically that the response that you get from acetylcholine firing, probably in an enhanced receptor capacity, is optimized. And so you can take the both of them together. Okay, so Corey is specifying on his weird illness post-COVID. Lots of weird symptoms, notably dizziness, heart rate issues, and some others. Yeah. So there's a couple really strange things that, take place when, in this post-COVID syndrome, otherwise known as PASC or post-acute sequelae of COVID-19. And one of them is dysautonomia. Hold on, my light went out. Give me 1 second, guys. That should turn back on. Dysautonomia, okay? Where your brain, the elements of your brain that control your blood pressure and your heart rate don't function normally and are kind of out of whack. Now, reasoning behind this, it's a difficult one. The smartest people that are researching long COVID contend that a unit of the spike protein, it is the S1 glycoprotein, gets trapped in an immune cell, call it. They're called monocytes. And these monocytes are typically very short-lived cells. Instead of dying very quickly, the spike protein hijacks them to make them live longer. And so they live a long time, right? You get the spike protein trapped in these monocytes in your immune system, and these otherwise short-lived cells that are supposed to die off, but that get hijacked to live a long time. What that does is cause all of this vascular endothelial, I wouldn't call it damage, but like temporary modification that may last a year or a year and a half or longer. And that disrupts a lot of neurological signaling. I mean, it disrupts the HPTA, so your testosterone is probably low, or libido might be suffering, or erection quality might be suffering. Host of things go wrong with this. There are, not to worry you, but there are studies on this, and looking at people 7 to 12 months or so. This is just an estimation. I forget the exact time period after COVID. They still have endothelial damage. They've got cardiac issues that aren't severe enough to cause a heart attack or death or something. But we know that myocarditis is one of the prominent things that comes from the in susceptible individuals, and COVID does the same thing. So, my suggestion, considering COVID knocks out bifidobacterium species, thus you don't degrade histamine in your body, thus you get a lot of allergic-like symptoms, allergic reactions. Like you're going to find if you take an antihistamine that you're going to feel somewhat better or noticeably better. Claritin or an H2 receptor antagonist like famotidine. However, if you just replenish bifidobacteria species in your gut, which you can do by drinking Similac 360 baby formula, then you will feel a lot better relatively quickly. At the same time, anything you can do to minimize your histamine load in your diet would be useful. If your digestion is slow because of H. pylori or an overgrowth of bacteria, you'll want to target that so that digestion is quicker, so that that's not contributing to the problem. Like, I think most of your immune system is in your gut, so a good degree of these long-lived monocytes are in your gut. So if you can figure out how to make your gut work better, a lot of that's going to get better. Otherwise, time, okay? And I say this from, doing the research and having had long COVID, okay? It took me about a year and a half to remove, get the symptoms to where they don't happen anymore. I'm such a biohacker and nerdy about this stuff that I would take this, that, like, I understood the whole thing. So I felt pretty normal. The symptoms would come up, and then I would execute some action on it. And then about a year and a half into it, it finally just all stopped. But on top of that, I ate very healthy. I ate a Mediterranean diet. I did not drink booze. I drink coffee, but not a whole lot. Still took nootropics and all that to help brain function. Did a couple other things, and my testosterone's high, and I work out a lot. So all of that is very significant. Corey Block also says, I've heard COVID can impact tryptophan metabolism pretty severely. Yeah, maybe by inhibiting neurotransmitter synthesis from the gut level via inflammatory cytokine load. Yeah, that could be what it is. Good question. I wish you the very best in your recovery. And, it might take some time, but follow my suggestions. All right. There's not a whole lot you can take other than, H2 and H1 receptor antagonists. These are histamine receptor antagonists, and rebuilding your bifidobacteria, which is a histamine degrading gut bacteria.
You got questions? You got questions? Got the questions? Ask away. I'd love to answer them. Right here, live on air.
By the way, Corey, the nicotinic acetylcholine receptor theory is wrong. What people were experiencing when they got resolution or benefit from taking nicotine patches was the fact that acetylcholine as a neurotransmitter was disrupted via inflammatory cytokine load, preventing neurotransmitter synthesis, probably among other reasons, like spike might have invaded the brain and slowed down neurotransmitter synthesis. And so they were merely getting cognitive benefits from taking nicotine patches. And that's really the difference there. It's the S1 really doesn't bind to nicotinic acetylcholine receptors. That hasn't been proven. That was a theory. I read the paper that you may have heard someone talk about referring to, or maybe you're referring to, and doesn't check out. Andrew Smith is asking a question about Noopept. Well, so does Noopept affect GABA and serotonin a little? I don't know. I don't, not directly. I can tell you this, via probably modifying acetylcholine receptors and enhancing the transmission of brain acetylcholine, you're getting some sort of carryover effect on GABA and serotonin, right? I mean, these neurotransmitters have interplays with one another. You affect one system, you affect all of the systems, just not in a major way, right? So you might be having some, mood benefits or, some relaxation, etc., from taking these compounds, from taking Noopept, but it's not directly working on them. Oxiracetam, on the other hand, will, in my professional opinion, either bind to GABA receptors slightly or modify them. That's one thing I've noticed with that compound, and it does have a scientific root, being a derivative of GABA, so hope that helps. Swisher Swish is saying, I've been taking BPC. Bravo, because it's an awesome peptide. Can't believe the government wants to get involved with peptides in a capacity where they essentially want to try to regulate them. For about a week, and notice they have much less acid reflux, which I get from Cialis. Do you think mastic gum will help too with acid reflux caused by Cialis too? The reflux caused by Cialis is a bit of a tricky one, because what I believe is happening is it is opening up the contraction of smooth muscle. Right, smooth muscle optimization is what gives you the erectile benefits of taking tadalafil or Cialis, and so I imagine that happens elsewhere too, right? And your LES, or the lower esophageal sphincter, which kind of is implicated or controls reflux to a degree, is supposed to control reflux, usually doesn't. If you got a real big issue, the smooth muscle there might be changing in response to tadalafil, which is causing gastric contents to enter your esophagus because the LES cannot adequately close and control it. But, mastic gum helps with reflux in the case that H. pylori is causing it, okay? That's a bacterial infection in your stomach that most of us have, but most of us, it never really gets out of control. Most of us. I should say that it gets out of control in a lot of people, because 8 out of 10 people have a gut problem. So I think it would help if pylori is the issue. Otherwise, with reflux that, you don't have a gastric problem like H. pylori, or you don't have SIBO or something, you probably want to drink some lemon juice. Even though that sounds counterproductive, it will alkalinize, is that the phrase? Your stomach, change the pH of your stomach, and that will change the acidity, sort of set point in your esophagus, which should help. Danzy is saying nootropics for social anxiety, phenylpiracetam and phenibut together. I don't suggest that, because phenibut's pretty, it can be addicting, and, when you stop taking it, it can come with withdrawals, but, hey, to each his own, and whatever. As long as you're not dosing it consistently, I think you should be relatively okay. Guys, reminder.
Just a little reminder to you guys, when you hit the like button, actually makes a real big difference on the channel, okay? So if you would, just take a little bit of time out of your fucking day and hit the goddamn like button.
The like button. It really matters, guys. I said it the other day and did some content around that and did some funny videos promoting the like button, and you guys really made a difference. So hit the like button if you're watching. It makes all the difference in the world. And the guy from The Irishman just looked at you in a way which says hit the like button. All right, guys. Other questions? You got questions, baby? I got answers on the evening live. Evening live stream. Get your questions ready. Send them over in the chat. I'll answer them super quickly. Yeah, baby. Okay, so Manny is saying, what nootropic stack would you take before a recreational soccer match? If you're playing, I assume. To be sharper, alert, and quick decision making with and without stimulants. Sometimes I play at night and can't sleep. Nootropics that I would take for any sports, I'd take phenylpiracetam. Either phenylpiracetam hydrazide, which you can get from nootropicsource.com, or bromantane, which is a synthetic adaptogen, otherwise known as an ectoprotector. And so those compounds make your body respond better in the presence of stress. So that's what I would say. You know, as far as phenylpiracetam goes, it's going to make you fire acetylcholine more optimized in muscles. So your your muscle contractions are going to be a lot smoother, and that whole system is going to perform better as a result of having phenylpiracetam in the picture. That'd be my suggestion for that, boys. Manny771, Duchess771 says, thank you for everything you do. Absolutely. Spironolactone with TRT okay for hair loss. Let's live Google that. Spironolactone. Potassium sparing diuretic pill. Got it. Okay, back to the question. Yeah, that's a diuretic. So, that's sketchy territory in my opinion. Like, you don't want to lose sodium or water, which would ultimately be both if you're taking a diuretic. You don't want to do that quickly. Really ever. I mean, I think there are better ways to get very lean. Like, I'm very lean right now, and I'm not taking a diuretic, right? my estrogen is in range on TRT, very fucking critical. And at the moment, my TRT dose is not high. I lowered it very, very far down to try to take a drug holiday from Arimidex, because that's healthy to do, and that's in the scientific literature. I may even stay down here. I've got to stabilize the new dose, so I'm getting like acne when it fucking fluctuates, which is a pain in the ass, and that'll go away once it's stable. But yeah, I mean, I don't really hold a lot of water. Like, look how lean I am. I'm just like, I don't hold water now at this state because my estradiol is not over range, and my testosterone dose is not very high. I don't think I'm super physiologic right now. At the 6-week point, I'll have to run labs to see, but I can guarantee I'm not super physiologic at the moment. And I feel great. And I've not lost strength in the gym. I've not lost strength lowering my dose, which is something that a lot of people in the first 2 weeks, I noticed a little bit less energy. I say markedly less energy. That balanced out because I think what happened is androgen receptors, they had upregulated from the higher dose, and then you change your dose and you got some of these androgen receptors that are not being bound to anymore start to downregulate, and then your body's like, it feels like a low testosterone for a couple weeks, and then you get back to normal, and then I actually end up feeling better. So spironolactone, as far as I can tell, is a diuretic thing, unless I googled the wrong thing. I did. So that whole thing was for nothing. Why don't you just explain to me what that is? Stuff for hair loss. If it's a DHT inhibitor, you don't want to be messing with that. Michael is asking, thoughts on SSRIs with nootropics. My thoughts are going to be different than some other popular YouTubers, namely Vigorous Steve. He managed to get away with taking, some SSRIs for some time, which helped him and benefited his mood, etc. But, I have seen entirely too many people come to me as clients with debilitating sexual symptoms, sexual dysfunction from SSRIs, some SNRIs, some dopamine agents like Adderall, and some other compounds, like I forget the mechanism of mirtazapine, but that caused a PSSD-like situation or syndrome in a person too. So my personal opinion on that is, unless you're taking anabolics or are very up on your testosterone, I really wouldn't mess with this stuff, because there are other ways to target the neurotransmitters that you want to target here that are safer, in my opinion. Like you could raise serotonin in a way which isn't going to block the transporters, which is what, fluoxetine and, all the Eli Lilly drugs, citalopram does. You don't want to be doing that, in my professional opinion. So I don't think they're a good idea. If you're already on one, the only risk you run is serotonin syndrome if you're taking another serotonergic nootropic with your SSRI. Drew is asking, what is my opinion on a maca root? I'll tell you, Drew. I don't like it, all right? I don't like it one bit. No, I'm just joking. It's not very effective singularly unless your testosterone levels are not very low. Like if you're not in some troublesome spot, then yeah, it may be effective, and I would call it marginally effective. I wouldn't call it, very effective. It really can't be. I mean, that's not how endocrinology works. You can't, modify your hormones in some major way with a single supplement unless it's something like Fedosia, Agrestis. So I think it's okay for people that's testosterone is not suffering majorly, but maybe they need some sort of a boost or an adaptogenic response, which I think maca provides. And that's essentially it. Swisher Swish is saying, is procrastination purely dopamine related? I imagine GABA and serotonin can be relevant. This is a good question, and I'm not sure that I've thought about it at length in terms of neurotransmitters, but I can think about it now. Frankly, I think I know this. Procrastination happens when the energy threshold, is not met for an individual. Like there is a level of energy that you can have, and you probably don't have it now unless you're super, super optimized, and you don't realize that you can reach that level of energy. And when you reach that level of energy, first of all, you go, holy shit, I feel fucking amazing. But secondly, you don't want to go back to having less energy than you did, right? So for me, I can tell you for sure, if there are things on the to-do list or things I need to get done, if something is burning down in my business, in my life, regarding a relationship, and I don't have the energy, which is rare these days, but there have been periods, I don't want to tend to it. I don't want to tend to anything. I don't answer texts. I don't want to tend to much when my energy is bad, which is why you have to focus on making your energy very, very primed as much as possible. So yes, neurotransmitters probably play a role, but general energy plays more of a role. Optimize a person physically and mentally, but specifically in terms of energy. And there's not a whole lot they're going to procrastinate on. Okay. You're going to, it's impossible to procrastinate when you feel like a beast most of the day. Cormac Crisp is asking a question for us. And look, I love questions. That's what we're all about here at Cortex Labs. Ruthlessly scientific, 1,400 videos, nootropics, TRT, biohacking, energy, health, 2 globally shipped nootropic stacks. This is Cortex Labs. I'm your host, Ryan Michael Ballo. I will answer it. I'll read it first. Here's a difficult question. Is there a cure or medication for OCPD, obsessive compulsive personality disorder? Not to my knowledge. It's not something I've studied a whole lot, so I couldn't really help you there. I'm sure that's dopaminergically related. So, obviously look into the dopamine system and see what you find. There's plenty of other people that are into that or study that can help you. And I'm sure there's scientific literature on it. So you need to look at what the mechanism is for this. You need to look at what the neurology is. What is the neurological basis or the neurobiological underpinnings of OCPD, and then try to treat those things individually or at once. Zayed is saying, does testosterone increase dopamine and serotonin? Dopamine, yes. Serotonin, not to my knowledge. Estradiol, however, will sensitize serotonin receptors to be stronger, to have a more pronounced response in reaction to the ligand serotonin. Drew. What's up, Drew? What's up, Drew? How you doing, Drew? You having a good day, Drew? Hope you're having a good week, Drew. Drew's got a question. What are your thoughts on metformin and rapamycin? So I don't know what rapamycin does. No, it's not a nootropic, but didn't know if you had any opinions. Yeah, metformin seems to be pretty remarkable for people that have blood sugar issues, that's for sure. I know a friend of mine who is on and off metformin. She's trying to control it, but when she goes back on it, she's got GI distress for several days. I'm not sure how that interplays with, your line of thought on that. But yeah, it's a pretty popular drug, pretty effective for controlling blood sugar, the insulin response, seemingly getting people back to a regular state when they have some pretty deranged blood sugar levels. Ryan, who is also a Ryan. What's up, Ryan? What's up, Brian? What are the best nootropics to read and understand technical material? Off the top of my head, you'd want to be looking at a compound called PRL853, just how it sounds, PRL-853. Secondarily, another research chemical called IDRA-21, IDRA-21. PRL dose is 5 to 10 milligrams. Hydrotonium 1's about 10 milligrams. Otherwise, Noopept, very effective. Aniracetam, one of the most powerful racetams there is. Subtle, but very effective. That's also useful for that. Michael is asking, have you been implementing anything on the GH pathway since being on TRT? Thoughts on it? No. Also risks associated with insulin. Insulin's a tricky one. Now, I would never dose the shit myself because you run the risk of causing major fucking fluctuations in blood sugar if you're doing it wrong. And that could put you in a dangerous place. All right. Now, you're going to talk to bodybuilders like Vigorous Steve, who you should follow on YouTube and is super smart about this, who seem not to think it's a major risk, but I think that's because Vigorous Steve knows how to fucking use the stuff. And he would only have clients or people on his channel use it in the correct way. So, you know, you would be better off going to Vigorous Steve's YouTube channel and, you know, video searching growth hormone. I'm not really messing with it. I mean, the only compounds I've ever taken that have messed with growth hormone receptors would be BPC 157, because that's one of the mechanisms through which it actually provokes healing, is modifying growth hormone receptors. I can't say that I noticed any physical benefit from it, but you know, that's just me. Zayed is saying, would you ever start to use other things with your TRT, like increasing HGH with peptides? Yeah, it's possible in the future, but to be honest with you, the way that I work out, I get good muscle growth. I don't look like a behemoth. I don't want to look big because I don't like my clothes not fitting and having to wear big shit. I'm very lean. I just managed to really get my physique in a good place with just TRT HCG. And by the way, I've lowered my testosterone dose after being anabolic for a while. So yeah, I was on 210, okay, just to give you an idea. And that took me between 1100 and 1250 or so, depending on injection frequency. So I was super physiologic for a year or something, a year and some change, and I worked out like a motherfucker. And it worked. I built a good bit of muscle. Now I'm back down to a TRT dose, and I've retained all of that muscle and strength for the most part. So in the future, if I feel like there's a need for that, then possibly. Swisher is saying, when you use a substance sublingually, how long should you generally keep it? Yeah, 10 to 40 minutes is a little, I mean, that just becomes ridiculous, right? 5 to 10 minutes if you want to be crazy about it. You know, otherwise 2 to 4 minutes, and then you should be good. Swallow it thereafter so you get the effect. But, you know, God, what is it? It is capillaries underneath of your tongue. I forget exactly what the mechanism, like, or what the underlying physiology, but you know, it'll absorb in those veins under your tongue via, you know, readily available, you know, blood vessels or capillaries. Yeah, very quickly. 10 to 40 minutes is ridiculous. That's a very long time. Never tried Midronate. Cormac Crisp, what do you know about valproate and learning new languages? Not heard of it. It's definitely not a nootropic. If I were to learn any new languages, I'd be using aniracetam, oxiracetam, piracetam. I'd be using tried and true, and I'd probably have extra energy with modafinil. Guys, newsflash.
Just a little reminder to you guys, when you hit the like button, it actually makes a real big difference on the channel, okay? So if you would, just take a little bit of time out of your fucking day and hit the goddamn like button.
It makes a big difference, all right? And the guy from The Irishman was pretty firm when he looked at you and said, without saying, hit the like button, boys. Hit it hard, because this is the evening live. Evening live stream. Get your questions ready. Send them over in the chat. I'll answer them super quickly. Questions. Michael is saying, what's your nootropic cycle like? Do you fluctuate substance throughout the day? Definitely. Yeah, I don't take the same thing. Good degree of my... I don't even have the torque stack here. How do I not have the torque stack? Good degree of my nootropic usage these days is the torque stack.
Torque, 25% off.
You know, I take Cortex as well. I run modafinil 4 or 5 times a month. It really depends on what I'm doing. Like when we launched Supercharged Dopamine and Nootropics Mastery, I wrote those courses out. So typed all the content out, filmed them, edited them, did all the graphics. Like I pretty much do everything with the exception of a couple, you know, web-based and graphical things. So it's a lot of work and I need my brain to function really well. So in those cases, I was dosing modafinil with racetams. Okay. Modafinil with racetam. So it depends on what I have to do. If there's a scientific topic that I need to tackle and I know not much about it, and I'm uncomfortable with how little I know about it, and I want to know more about it to the point where I'm comfortable either talking about it or executing some sort of, protocol suggestion for a client, then I will take IDRA 21 or PRL 853 to sift through the scientific literature to put all these things together in my brain so that after I'm done doing that, I can just recite them from memory without thinking about it. So it varies. It honestly varies. And that's essentially what it looks like right now. As of late, I've been dosing a lot of bromantine because I just like that stimulant energy that it provides. So, it changes. I'm never really taking the same stack consistently unless it's torque, because that's made to take every day, or it's made to take as consistently as you want to take it. Cortex the same. Otherwise, I'm pretty much cycling between everything else. Malcolm X. Are you the real Malcolm X? Because it's a pleasure to have you here, is saying, I'm trying to achieve super high libido. You described in your video having 1200 testosterone. My recent blood test showed this. He's got blood work here. Total 871, free 16.8, estradiol 38, prolactin 2.8. That's really low for prolactin. It's good, but it's low. I think if you want super high libido, you got to get that estradiol between 20 and 30. The test where it's at is fine. Now, if you want ultra libido, you should be super physiologic on test, but estradiol still in that 20 to 30 range, which is hard to do. It's hard to do that. Okay. It's hard to keep estradiol in that range with an AI, because after the half-life of a Arimidex, takes place, it's half-lifed out of your system. 50% of it is still left in your blood. Well, the estradiol starts bouncing back. If it dropped it to 18, it's going to be at 23 on day 3, right? And then it's going to rise back up again. So, they're so powerful, those drugs, the aromatase inhibitors, that then you try to dose another. What are you going to dose? 0.06 at that point of Arimidex? You can, right? I mean, that's a sensible strategy and knocks it back down. It's just difficult to keep it there. So that's why, yes, having very high test, but 20 to 30 picograms per milliliter estrogen is going to give you the best libido, no question. But it's just hard to keep the estradiol there. And fluctuations in estradiol cause issues with libido. So that's a problem. Like, these days, most guys are just better off getting, if you want to build a lot of muscle and feel strength and whatever, and not really be optimized sexually, be super physiologic for a while, build the muscle, get the strength, which takes a lot of work. It's not just androgens, it's a lot of fucking work. And then go down to a TRT dose, 80 to 120 milligrams of testosterone a week. And then the estradiol will balance out in that range. And then you're going to have rockin' libido. Like I'm 4 weeks into a reduced dose from 140. Prior to that, it was 180. Prior to that, it was 210. I've been incrementally reducing it. I'm 4 weeks into a new reduced dose. And my fucking erections won't stop. My dick just won't fucking go down, bro. Because estradiol is easily within range and it stays there. Because, the T is still high, not super physiologic, but, in a place where I'm not constantly stimulating aromatization and messing with my libido. So that's how I would proceed if I were you. I would figure out how to get your estradiol between 20 and 30. Mid-range in that range would be good, 25 picograms per milliliter. If you're on TRT, lower your dose slightly until you reach that range. Joseph is saying, what is my opinion on UGL versus pharmapregnol? UGL HCG not as effective. I can tell. Okay, I get my UGL Xi-HCG from Reliable. Okay, Xi-HCG is effective. Okay, I've not had it because I use Xi-HCG too. I wish I had the vial in front of me because I just got some in the mail today with some Tadalista. It's a generic tadalafil not from Reliable, from a different source, but Xi-HCG is effective. Okay, the stuff works. Comparing it to Amino Asylum's HCG, in my opinion, in my 2 vials that I got that I followed up with blood work, were not good. They were underdosed. Okay, so I guess it really just depends on which UGL source you go to. I mean, I can't really talk about sources now. Yeah, I mean, you can email me if you have any questions about that, but or book a consultation regarding TRT, better yet, and therein I can actually disclose sources in a way which gets you what you need in an educational manner. But anyway, yes, Pregnol Pregnal's probably the most effective stuff you're going to get just because it's pharmaceutical grade. It lasts 60 days after it's reconstituted and refrigerated, preferably. So, whereas seemingly even pretty good UGL HCG, like Xi HCG, which is very good UGL HCG, doesn't quite last as long, right? Denatures quicker or something to this effect. That's probably what's happening there. So, I mean, ultimately, if you can afford it, which I don't know, it's like, it really depends on your source. If you're going through Defy Medical or most other clinics, like 10,000 IU, which is normally how Pregnal is sold, is like $200 something, dude. It's a lot. And it's only lasting 55 days max, forget about the 60. It's lasting 50 to 55 days. So one of those things. Malcolm is not interested in TRT at this time. Looking for natural options. Need to lower your estradiol, man. Keep the test the same. Lower the estrogen. 38 is not great for your libido. Otherwise, though, PT141 is an injectable peptide melanocortin receptor agonist that will stimulate hypothalamic dopamine and give you libido temporarily. Not sustainable to take every day because it won't produce the same effect. Ryan Davis has another question for us. We like answering questions. I mean, it's kind of what we do in these live streams.
This is Pick Ryan's Brain.
Evening edition.
Okay. Can you mix the Noopep the same way you do L-theanine in sublingual form with the spray under the tongue? Yes, you can. Yeah. Distilled water and Noopep, and you can make your own solution. Yes, you can. I've done that before, a while back, and it was pretty interesting. Boys specials.
Torque 25% off.
Torque stack is 25% off right now. The code for that is 25 Torque, and so is the Cortex stack. All right. So if you guys are thinking about getting that stack, ain't nothing better.
I took to this stuff and it turned me into a smart person, and then I stopped stuttering, but it wore off, so I'm stuttering again.
You know the code. You know what to do, boys. All right, let's get back to questions here. Jammer with the big $5. Appreciate it, brother. Hope you and your wife are doing well. Hope your family is good, man. Thoughts on boron? I read a study that showed doubling of tests and reduction in E2. I don't think it can quite do that. I think that study was probably like best case scenario. When you see studies like that, it's probably best case scenario. Boron is lowering SHBG, I believe. That's a sex hormone binding globulin, which will raise your free testosterone, which does matter regarding libido, and a lot of other elements that, testosterone has to offer. Ultimately, it's really about the androgen-mediated transcription factors, like the genetic action that takes place after receptor binding. But SHBG lowering and raising free test would be pretty useful. Do I think it's a panacea? No. Do I think it's a majorly effective thing? Not really. Do I think it's useful to take in conjunction with a protocol that is targeting all the elements of helping you build more testosterone? Yes. Yes. Malcolm is asking, can I create a product that people can get super high libido on? Probably not, because, it's so androgen mediated and sex hormone mediated, and that those levels are actually different for different people. I mean, the ranges should be the same, but it's so while one person can have rockin' everything in the sexual department at 1100 total test and 40 estradiol, he's the minority. Most other guys do well at 700-800 test and 25 estradiol, 28 estradiol. So, kind of difficult to say unless you could stimulate, hypothalamic dopamine or, dopamine in some aggressive way with a compound. And again, PT141 does that. Not a whole lot of thoughts on methylene blue. I had a client some time ago that took it and got a clear brain from it. Back when I used to take it, which was many years ago, that's what I noticed. Just a clear brain, nothing stimulating, nothing powerful. Joseph is saying, yes, I've been with Defy and their Pregnal's 260. Yes, it's entirely a lot, which includes shipping. It's pretty expensive. Pregnal was $155, but it went up in price. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're honestly better off finding a UGL source that sells ZUI HCG, because that's good HCG. I wouldn't suggest going with Amino Asylum. Swisher Swish is saying, Vigorous Steve. Shout out to the big Vigorous Steve, bro. The muscle bro who's also smart. Hard to find. Tried kisspeptin and it had no effect. Proven with blood work. Have you seen it work in people? I have, but they had to take high doses of it. Yeah, kisspeptin is like GnRH agonist, or it's at the level of gonadotropin releasing hormone, or potentially gonadotropin hormone releasing hormone, which is the precursor to that. And I think there's a lot of things that downstream could go wrong after that's optimized. And so that could potentially be why. That would be why. Yeah, Malcolm, as far as your libido issue, get your estradiol between 20 and 30. If that doesn't solve the issue, which it likely will, you got to figure out what you're taking or doing that is causing you to have libido issues. Booze could be one of those things. Pot's another. Shitty diet's another. Lacking micronutrient profiles another. Pharmaceutical drugs, some SSRIs, SNRIs, any DHT blocker. Those are other problems, that you don't want to, you just don't want to be dealing with, right? Max said he doesn't know why I don't have 1 million subs. We're getting there, buddy. We'll be at 1 million next decade. Yeah, no, the real reason is I got banned 3 times because YouTube's auto bots were thinking that we were talking about stuff that we weren't. And so we got put in essentially a shadow ban category where, they weren't showing our videos to many people. And that had gone on and off for years. So I've had to very aggressively fight to put out good quality content and do collaborations, which we're going to be doing more of this year, to change that. And now we're back on track to growing. It just, we had gotten banned 3 times. And each time that happened, we were essentially in it for a year's time, not growing. It was really fucked up. But thankfully we have a great audience. And in that time, you guys kept us afloat by buying product and asking questions and engaging in the content. And so, I owe my life to you guys because this is the evening live. Evening live stream. Get your questions ready. Send them over in the chat. I'll answer them super quickly. Malcolm X is saying, any advice on how to convince a doctor to prescribe Arimidex? I tried yesterday and she flat out refused. Well, yeah, 38 is still within the LabCorp range. LabCorp is 42 picograms per milliliter or something. If you really want to see at 38, taking Arimidex wouldn't be a good idea. You'd have to dose 0.03 milligrams, which means taking a 0.125 compounded anastrozole tablet, because that's the only way you can be accurate, splitting it in half and then splitting that in half and getting 0.03. That's like the only dose you should be taking at that that level of estradiol, so that you do not crash estrogen. And then you got temporary arthralgia, which is where your joints hurt when estradiol is temporarily dropping too fast. You don't want that. Potential bone mineral density issues for temporary periods. You just not something you want to do. You got to dose it very low. Again, figure out how to, aromatize less. Look into what causes aromatization. Mainly it's alcohol and body fats. Alcohol, pot, and body fat cause aromatization at high levels. And reduce that. Reduce all of them if they're in the picture. Ryan Davis, who is another Ryan, is saying, did you say Pure Olive is effective for reading? Yes. Yes. Exceptionally effective for retention of information that you're consuming in an acute period. It is very, very powerful stuff.
Just a little reminder to you guys, when you hit the like button, actually makes a real big difference on the channel, okay? So if you would, just take a little bit of time out of your fucking day and hit the goddamn like button.
Click, click, click. Hit the like button, boys, because it makes a significant difference on the channel. And if you don't hit the like button, I'll stop doing content tomorrow. Just joking. All right. Awesome. Any other questions, guys? If you got questions, ask them, because this is the evening live stream, boys, where if you have questions, I answer them. I mean, that's what I'm here for.
You got questions? You got questions? Got them questions? Ask away. I'd love to answer them. Right here, live on air.
In the meantime,
it's Focus and Flow in a bottle, and it's very good for your brain cells.
Specials. Hello. That's a 25% off coupon code for Cortex. Same thing with Torque.
25% off.
All right. All discount codes can be applied at livecortex.com after you add products to your cart. And then entering the coupon code at checkout. All right. Lots of epic products right now. Lots of cool coupon codes. The code 20 now will save you 20% off of the new courses, Supercharged Dopamine and Nootropics Mastery. Boys, I'm trying to see if I missed any questions. If there's anything I hadn't gotten to. Corey is saying, noticed some benefit from lemon balm, cholinesterase inhibitor. May just felt better for other reasons. Interesting. Yeah, again, we're talking about long COVID here in this context. Yeah, long COVID may, via the cytokine invasion, be inhibiting acetylcholine at some level. And so you should try nicotine patches. If I were you, I'd try nicotine patches plus all the other suggestions I gave you, because ultimately you got to get it better. And that's gonna take some work. Milligrams of PRL 5 to 10. This is PRL 853. Research chemical, heavy cholinergic, some dopamine properties to it. Don't exactly know what, because the literature is not clear on that. It's actually never been elucidated, but 5 to 10 milligrams of PRL. Start at 5 is what I would suggest, and then see how you fare, work up if you absolutely need to. Hydro 21, pretty standard dose of 10 milligrams per person per session. You're looking at 2 to 5 hours of pretty good brain function, where again, you're clearer, your working memory is better, you're functional in every way relating to information processing. Computing power is better. I mean, it's a pretty powerful compound, Hydro 21. Both of those compounds are very powerful. If you got questions, boys, I got answers, because that's what I'm here for.
You got questions? You got questions? Got the questions? Ask away. I'd love to answer them. Right here, live on air.
I don't know what you guys are doing today or what you've been doing lately, but I have been trying to do stuff, but it's snowing. And that's just something I'm not happy about right now. I'm not happy. Malcolm X is saying that amazing libido you described in your 1200 test video. Was libido then better than when you got your prolactin to under 5? That's a difficult one. I mean, getting prolactin very low changes the time period in between sex sessions that your libido is sort of meh, right? It decreases that period. So, your libido comes back very, very quickly. In those times when my prolactin was very low, like I could have sex in the morning, and then 2 or 3 hours later, after maybe a nap or something, I would want to have sex again. Like, so say I was dating someone or dating a couple people, and, I would meet a girl in the morning, which is rare, and we'd have sex, in the afternoon, I'd want to call her back. And if not, I'd consider calling someone else, at that point. That's what it does. That's what lowering your prolactin will do, so long as everything else is in range and you're in a good place with testosterone. Swisher Swish is asking, any experience with the anxiolytic etifoxine? I do not know. I don't have. Increases allopregnanolone, which could increase libido too. I don't know if that would increase libido directly, because I believe that would be modifying GABAergic system to some capacity. I could be wrong. I'm going to check that, which is usually anti-libido, but I don't have any experience with it. My anxiolytics, for folks to understand, is either high dose Nootropic will be an anxiolytic for me, interestingly. Low dose, it's not. It's a stimulant. Very paradoxical in that regard. I mean, I have some theories on why that happens, but who knows. And fasoracetam, okay? Fasoracetam is like my favorite, safest anxiolytic compound. I just, 20 to 40 milligrams, and I am relaxed, chill, calm. I'm in a great place. Also, breathing. Breathing exercises where you do it for 20 minutes. You're just breathing in, breathing out for a long period of time, maybe holding your breath on the next breath in for 10 seconds. Do that for 20 minutes and your body will start breathing on its own. Like that. It'll start breathing optimally on its own. You realize how shitty your breathing is when you do breathing exercises and you start breathing normally again. You start breathing optimally. You realize, wow, I breathe like crap normally. It's been great. So that also helps with anxiety. Joseph is saying, I've been trying to get my hands on 90BBC from Chemia, but they're always out. Interesting. I mean, I bought 4 or 5 of the packages, like the big packages from them some time ago, so I haven't needed to get any. So I'm sorry that's happening. Recover from anhedonia, but I have cabergoline now before getting 90BBC. Cabergoline, if dopamine is the issue, will at least make you feel better, or it should, in the temporary period, to let you know dopamine is the issue. Again, though, keep in mind anhedonia is a complicated one. Serotonin, I think, is involved too. Like the SSRI guys have anhedonia, not because dopamine is down exclusively, but because serotonin is too. When you block the transporters for a while, keep all that serotonin around, you downregulate production of serotonin. They're all thinking they need less serotonin. Well, they actually need balanced serotonin. So it's a complicated situation. All right, guys, I'm going to end the stream. It's been an epic stream. Great questions. Let me see if I'm missing any super chats or anything. It doesn't look like it. Okay. No, we're good to go. Content coming out tomorrow, so look forward to that. Again, as I said earlier and as I've been mentioning, well, a couple things. Number one,
just a little reminder to you guys, when you hit the like button, it actually makes a real big difference on the channel, okay? So if you would, just take a little bit of time out of your fucking day and hit the goddamn like button.
just give it a click for me, boys. Just give it a click. Uno clicks. Uno clicks. Cortex stack right now, 25%
This
off.
stuff here, it's focus and flow in a bottle. And it's very good. For your brain cells.
All right, same with the Torque stack. The code for the
Torque,
stack is
25% off.
25. Torque. All right, a lot of content coming this week, so look forward to that. Consults, I wanted to mention, yes, this is busy season for me. So, you know, I booked a 1 year recently. That's going to take my time up for a year, but I still have other time throughout the day. But as these 3-month and the 6-month programs get booked, I won't have slots for those. So those of you business people, entrepreneurs that need to perform at 180%, like I'm the guy for that. I get the call when Daniel Amen, who charges 10 grand for consults, can't help people. I get the call from the business people, the entrepreneurs, the venture capitalists, the executives to improve brain performance, TRT optimization, and a host of other things. Book me at livecortex.com. We've also got cheaper for those of you that just need a call with me or an email exchange back and forth consultations, which you can book at livecortex.com. This is busy season, all right? So get on it if you want instant results and be able to get me instantly. Otherwise, I'm going to be booked, and at which point, if I'm so booked, I can't offer value to people if I'm overbooked. So I'll have to take the consults off the site for a brief period. All right. So if you need to book me, go do it at livecortex.com. I appreciate the questions. I'll talk to you guys on the next one. And Godspeed. Godspeed.